What's going on, Jerome? So, after watching the frustrating championship games and watching the stupid Chiefs and the stupid Eagles go to the Super Bowl, there's one lesson that can be learned from the Eagles. Well, first off, they have one of the best offensive line, if not the best offensive line in the game, as well as they ran the ball with Saquon Barkley, which is obviously fantastic. But defensively, and that D line is where it's at. That's where the Vikings need to take a lot of lessons to heart. And the Vikings D line this year has been solid, right? And I'm not talking about outside linebackers, Grenard, AVG, Diamond Dallas Turner, etc. I'm talking about the guys in the trenches. I'm talking about Bullard and Phillips and Tilley, Jerry Tillery, Jalen Redmond, all that stuff. They were nice. They were nice. They were fine. And yes, the Vikings were second in the league in rushing yards allowed, fourth in yards per carry, fifth in total points. So it's not like they were untalented up front. But this is the franchise of the Purple People Eaters. This is the franchise of the Williams Wall. These are lessons that should be taken to heart. And I'm a firm believer that defense is built from the front to the back as well as from the inside out. Because everything is so much easier if you can consistently stop the run, get them behind schedule on second and third down, and if you can get a pass rush without having to blitz the bejesus out of everyone, everything becomes so much easier. It's weird how good corners and safeties are in coverage, linebackers too, when they don't have to cover for more than 2.5 seconds. It's exactly what happens. So the Vikings, they got to get after things. Now, they have a ton of cap space, not a ton of draft picks, but luckily for them, this is one of the best defensive tackle classes in recent memory, right? There's going to be lots of talent out there, and no matter what the Vikings want, do they want a nose tackle like Tariq Williams, Deion Walker? Do they want someone like Walter Nolan? Do they want whatever? There's going to be tons of opportunities because the Eagles, I hate the stupid Eagles, but you respect Howie Roseman, hell of a GM, and they've consistently invested in the trenches, whether that's usually high draft capital, whether that's retaining their own guys. But you look back in recent memory, you got Fletcher Cox, you got Brandon Graham getting after things, and they had Javon Hargrove. What the hell's going on here? And then they spent first round pick Jordan Davis out of Georgia, Jalen Carter out of Georgia. Yes, the whole meme about how we love in Georgia defenders, but it's true. And Jordan Davis is a dog. Jalen Carter is super disruptive. Plus Milton Williams, third round pick, who's going to be a free agent, and the Vikings could certainly bring in for some nice as well. He's at that 5-tech spot, and he's solid against the run, but he blows things up rushing the passer as well. And that's what the Vikings need. And they don't have to switch from the 3-4 or 3-man front. And Grenard and AVG, Diamond Dallas Turner will rise up, and they'll be great off the edge. But you got to get something going on the interior. And again, I love and respect what Bullard, Tellery, and Harrison Phillips have done, but you need to get some dudes up front that can get their own pass rush, right? And I am sick and tired of, the stats are great, but it seems like in crunch time, when the other team wants to run the ball late in the game, salt away a lead, they can do it, right? And that's what's super frustrating. But you need to get some dogs up front that can get their own pass rush. That way you don't have to blitz 7. So yes, the Vikings, top 5 sacks, top 5 pressures, top 5 blitz. Actually, I think they're number 1 in blitz probably. But that's what's frustrating, is that if you live by the blitz, you die by the blitz. And guess what? Teams aren't surprised when you're blitzing 50-60% of the defensive snaps. They just get ready for it, right? And any quarterback worth their salt can get rid of that rock. They can find the dead spot in the zone that you're playing soft behind, right? And why Flores has to blitz so much is that he can't consistently get pressure with 4. And that's on the defensive line because Grenard, AVG, they're going to be able to get theirs, right? But what about the guys up front? And that really is a shift in the paradigm of recent NFL history, where for a long time, Lawrence Taylor on, it's like, oh, it's that edge pressure. It's all coming off the edge. You need bend and blah, 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 blah. But now it's that quick interior pressure. It is the Aaron Donald effect, and everyone and their mom is looking for that A-gap and B-gap pressure, whether it's blitzes or whether it's just defensive tackles getting their own rush. And that's exactly what you need, because you can do so much if you don't even have to sack the quarterback. Just get him off of schedule, move him off the spot, and compress the pocket early on. That disrupts so many things, all right, both against the run and against the pass. So, the Vikings, They got to spend and they got to draft wisely. Like, honestly, if they came away from free agency with Milton Williams from the Eagles, he'll be at one of the starting 5-tech spots, and then you can move Harrison Phillips to one of the other 5-tech spots if you draft a Tyreek Williams from Ohio State or Deion Walker from Kentucky, who I love. I'm all in on Walker because we need dudes up front that are tree 40, tree 50, right? And be able to play multi gaps, be able to play 3 downs, get after the quarterback a little bit, and just not move. Or where the Vikings, and not beyond that, just absorbing bodies and allowing Pace and Cashman to scrape, and AVG and Grenard be able to get that edge, and Turner getting his as well. So that's where the Vikings have to learn from the Eagles, right? So they invest in their defensive line, and they're not abashed about it, and they're not ashamed about it. And also offensively, they invested in the offensive line too. So games are won and lost in the trenches, and that's where maybe the Vikings lost their way a little bit. But good thing is the cupboard is not bare. You got Darius O'Neal on the offensive line. They can rebuild the interior offensive line in free agency. They can hammer the D-line a little bit in free agency with Bill Williams, and then go hard in the paint in the draft. And hopefully Levi Drake Rodriguez and Jalen Redmond and company will rise on up, because that's what I want. Just a platoon of dudes that will blow up gaps and make other teams very frustrated. And guess what? Flores is smart enough too, even though he loves the blitz, he knows that he has to blitz. And then all of a sudden, hey, you know what's really difficult for an offense is the other team getting pressure with 4, dropping 7, and then occasionally money downs, dialing up that perfect blitz and getting unblocked rushers. That's what blows things up. That's what makes the Chiefs good. That's what makes the Eagles good on defense. So that's what the Vikings need to do, because that is the ultimate luxury right now and a great competitive advantage, getting pressure with 4, and the Vikings need to bring in some defensive linemen who can do that, because they can get it from the edge. We need some from the interior now. And just, I hate the Eagles, but how we built that team the right way. So there you go. Anyways, your thoughts are thoughts. Get D lineman. That's it.